All right, we're good.
Hey, welcome to Bluejay Banter on our YouTube channel here. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Make sure and hit that subscribe and like button down at the bottom of the screen. Tim Kruger, along with Ross Ferrarini and our producer, Zach Weaver. On this Monday evening, we're getting set for a big week of Bluejay basketball. St. John's and Xavier coming to town. And we're going to talk lots about that. Our sponsor is Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, West Pacific Dental Group, and Infusion Brewery. On the show tonight, Coach Mack is going to join us in about a half hour here. We'll sit down with him and go over numerous topics, especially this off week. It gives the team kind of a chance to, work on development, which they don't get, much of a chance to do at this time of year. We'll jump into the film room. We got a piece from the Butler game on Kalkbrenner, and then we'll do a St. John's preview for Wednesday night. And then also, I want to talk about this right now. We have 2 pairs of tickets to give away to anyone who wants them. Now, here's how you got to qualify. You have to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join BluejayBanter.com. So go to BluejayBanter.com, sign up, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. Those tickets will be yours. So we'll have 2 winners for a pair each of tickets for Wednesday night. So we will announce that throughout the show. So make sure and go and do that. As soon as you get done watching our show, make sure to sign up at BluejayBanter.com and then make sure and hit the subscribe button here, and you are all set and entered for the huge contest. A beer night on Wednesday, right? $1 beer night.
I forgot about that.
We're going to miss Lab. We should check into Lab. I'm going to look at Lab's schedule and see if we can't have him on sometime. He's a frequent visitor to our show. He's so much fun to talk to and just see how everything's going at San Diego.
I'll tell you what they should do. If any place should be doing dollar beer nights, it's the University of San Diego, because I've checked in on a few of their games. And my God, are nobody in the stands. So maybe the dollar beer thing would help attendance at the University of San Diego.
So, and it would be very cost effective for the university, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess whatever works, but just they need more people there because it's a joke.
All right,
you guys are winning too, but
sure. Real briefly before we get into St. John's, so it was really nice to sit back and just watch everybody beat each other up, and things rolled really nice for the Jays with UConn going down and Xavier getting their first loss to DePaul. I mean, that was quite the night of basketball action.
Yeah, it's been. We've talked about it since before the season. I mean, DePaul's talented. They're not. I mean, obviously their record's not great, and everybody just assumes it's an automatic win once you go and play DePaul. That's just not the case. Now, I don't particularly like the shot selection that they employ on their team, but they are a talented bunch. So they're very capable of making things competitive, and then obviously beating teams that are much better than them. So yeah, I wasn't shocked at the outcome, quite frankly.
It reminds me a little bit of those St. John's teams who would just have super highly ranked recruits, really talented players, but wouldn't really run, an offense that resembled any kind of system. Like that when Shamori Pons was there, those kinds of guys.
Yeah, when Chris Mullen was the coach, yeah.
Yes. I forgot who it was.
Yeah. So, at any rate, Jay's now just 2 games out of first. So things starting to look up, and big week, as I said, with St. John's and Xavier. But first up is St. John's. It's a team that we talked about this too, about the top 5, who's going to blink and lose to the bottom 6. Well, UConn's lost 2 now to the bottom 6.
Mm-hmm.
And Xavier's lost 1. Providence, Marquette, and Creighton haven't dropped any games to that tier of teams. So it'd be behooves Creighton to keep that going on Wednesday night, 8:00 tip. Soriano leading scorer for them. Probably this isn't the most ideal matchup for him. I would say, Ross, or would you?
Well, I mean, he is. If I'm not mistaken, I think he leads the country in double doubles. Um, so I think he's a really, really underrated player nationally. I think that's. Well, I mean, I say that, but I think he's finally starting to get a little bit of attention. And I know that he played well against Sonogo. So, you would think that it would be a struggle for him against Kalk, but, we saw somebody with a similar frame and Derek Walker have a pretty nice game against Kalk. Now, albeit I think Kalk was really struggling with the mono that game, but, it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't just necessarily chalk it up to as he's going to really struggle against Ryan just because of Ryan's size. But on the other side of that coin, Ryan does seem to be really getting into a groove here as far as his conditioning and stamina, and so hopefully he can continue that. But gosh, St. John's, they just play such a different brand of basketball, and it's. I think luckily we've got the ball handlers and the guys that have been around to handle that, but it's not going to be just an easy, show up and win by double digits game. It's going to be a test, no doubt.
Yeah, and I think if you haven't seen much of St. John's, the first thing that probably pops in your mind from years past is Posh Alexander, but he really hasn't been much of a factor on their team this year. I mean, he's way down the list in scoring. He's under 10. He's only scoring 9 points a game, which is, you would think by this time, the number of games he's played at St. John's, that he would be one of their leaders, but he's not.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think, him and Soriano and their guard that's been playing pretty well is Illinois transfer Andre Curbelo.
He's
So
playing really well. Really
yeah,
well.
he's the guy that kind of fills it up a little bit for them. So
Well, they
they've
have
got a
Jones
talent.
too. They got David Jones too.
Yeah, the DePaul transfer, David
Yeah.
Jones. Yeah, no doubt. They've got some really talented pieces. That's kind of another team that I look at them and their record is a tad confusing to an extent. I mean, they had a really good non-conference, but maybe it is kind of like us. We went on a 6-game losing streak. They had a 5-game losing streak to start conference play. They've won two of their last 3 here, one of which was at UConn. So maybe they're starting to find their stride a little bit because they're another team that I really like their roster from a talent standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that pack right now. Seton Hall looked like they were going to, but then they got throttled by a very good Marquette team. Don't get me wrong, but throttled at home after beating UConn. So, and kind of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, Joel Soriano, I just pulled it up on Sport Reference here. He's got a double-double in all but it looks like 3 games. That's pretty darn impressive.
I did hear that stat when I watched their last game. Yeah.
And he's got a double-double in every single conference game except one. So against Xavier, second conference game in against Xavier at 14 and 8. So it's not exactly a horrible stat line to have if you're going to lose a double streak. But he's an awful good player, and it's going to be a test Wednesday night. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he's 16 and 12 on the season, averaging on the season. So very impressive. Johnny's are 13 and 7 right now. So they're about 90-ish in the net. So they're not really threatening the bracket at all. They didn't have a very good non-conference. So from that perspective, they're looking on the outside in there, but they are looking to move up because now with UConn kind of struggling, if UConn loses a few games, they could be playing on Wednesday night, which would seem unbelievable 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't foresee. I think you would agree. I don't foresee that ending up being the case with UConn, but yeah, I mean, as it currently stands, I don't think anyone would have expected that they'd be right here in the standings on January 23rd. But yeah, St. John's, they're an interesting team. You look at in the non-conference. You talked about their non-conference. It wasn't awful though. I mean, they lost, and Iowa State handled them pretty good at Iowa State, and Iowa State's a really good basketball team. But they did beat Temple on a neutral site, and they did beat Syracuse on a neutral site. Temple just won at the number 1 team in the country yesterday, and they waxed Nebraska pretty darn good at their place. So they've got they've got some capabilities.
All right. As we said, don't forget we're giving away those pair of tickets, two pair of tickets to the game Wednesday night against St. John's. So all you got to do is just hit subscribe here and then go to bluejaybanter.com, sign up. If you're already a member, just shoot me over your login and we will set you up with tickets for Wednesday night. So don't forget about that. Equitable Bank, been a proud sponsor of Bluejay Banter for many years. They've been serving Nebraska since 1882. Two great locations, one just north of TD Ameritrade in the Old Mill, the other one on 200, in 20th in Elkhorn, over in the Elkhorn area. So wonderful staff. President Doug Nogard does an outstanding job. And if you're looking for a bank, we highly recommend the Bank of Bluejay Banter, Equitable Bank. Also, Pacific Dental Group. Their personalized staff will get your dental care back on track. Dr. Robert Hogan, his staff do an outstanding job, are so friendly, and will work with you in whatever capacity you need to with your dental plan. So give them a call, 402-697-0765. And don't forget about Infusion Brewery. You can go to their location down at Papillion. You can also go to the Crescent Moon, where they have a large selection of infusion products. Great place, great food in Infusion Moon, or Crescent Moon, by the way. Yeah, so head on over sometime. Great place to watch a Jays game. A lot of Jays fans show up there, so check it out as well. I think that Xavier game is just going to be unreal if we can get by St. John's. That's going to be an unreal crowd. I know it's 11 o'clock, but I think people are going to show up, especially with the pink out and everything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm expecting a really good atmosphere for Saturday. And, it's obviously there's two games before that. We've got to get past St. John's at home, and Xavier's got a really tough one. They got to go to UConn. So, it'll be really, really revved up if we can both get wins on Wednesday night. I'm not terribly confident that Xavier's going to get a road win at UConn, but I wouldn't have said that about St. John's getting a road win at UConn. So you never know. Right. But yeah, it's gonna. I think no matter what happens to both these games on Wednesday, I think Saturday is going to be a revved up crowd.
And Fannin made a good point. He said, they haven't gone on the road at the top tier teams yet, which is kind of unusual. Everybody Xavier. Else has. Yeah. So this is a big week for them when they get them back to backs.
Totally. That's the thing. I mean, we talked about it earlier. That you can't get too caught up early in the conference season at what's going on and where everybody is at, because for a lot of teams, the schedule kind of flips, right? Like we've got arguably three of our hardest games period out of the way already. And Xavier hasn't really had any of those yet. So it's, a lot of things can change from here to early March.
And we have a lot of the bottom feeder teams on the road. We've only gotten rid of Butler. We got to go to Georgetown. We got to go to St. John's. We got to go to Seton Hall. Not an easy place to play. So, and obviously that last game of the year just scares the heck out of me when we have to go to DePaul. That's going to be – DePaul's probably going to be pretty good by then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, just a shout out, my bracket came out today. I slid Creighton into the field, into the playing game. Listen to this, Ross. This is I just find this fascinating because I've never seen it happen before. My last four teams in are Oklahoma, Creighton. They're in. On the outside is Ohio State and West Virginia. Okay?
Okay.
All four teams are 11-8. All four teams have a top 20 strength of schedule.
Aren't we 12-8?
No. We haven't played in a while.
I thought we were 12.
All four teams have only one true road win. And all four teams combined have only 2 tier 1 wins. So we're all bunched with games that we've won in the middle of the pack between 27 and 60 in the net. Only Ohio State has a bad loss. Creighton has the best net of any of them at 20. Oklahoma has the worst at 57, but you could argue that Oklahoma is probably, even though their strength of schedule doesn't say they played the toughest, they're right there with the toughest when you look at the teams in that league they play in. So I just find that fascinating that 4 teams are so close. I mean, you look at them, they look like they both played the same damn schedule. It's crazy. The only head-to-head you got going there's Oklahoma beat West Virginia, I think, by 1.
Yeah. Yeah, the bracket. I mean, I know that's like your thing, and a whole bunch of other guys, and you guys kind of compete against each other, and you guys do a great job of typically knowing the field for the most part right before they announce it. But the bracketology thing, to me, Tim, in like this early, it's like, because I don't think, and again, maybe I'm just being too bullish. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the play-in game by the time March rolls around.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I just so many things are going to change by then. I mean, it's just yeah, I don't know what's a mid-major team that you think has a chance at an at-large that obviously has a much better record that you think could get in over like a West Virginia or Ohio State.
Well, everybody's screaming at me about Florida Atlantic because I have them like an 11 seed. And they think they ought to be like a 6 seed, which I think is crazy. They're 20-1. They haven't. The reason they're like number 18, I believe, in the net. The reason they're so high in the power rankings is,
they won at Florida.
Yeah, but Florida's not crazy good.
Florida's not great. Yeah,
Florida has like about a 45 net, which helped them out a lot. The other thing that helped them out a lot is they've beaten North Texas twice, who's in their conference. Right. Texas has a pretty good net, so that helped them a lot. They also beat UAB, who a lot of people thought was going to win that league. So they've had a lot of things going for them. People that have watched them a lot say, no, this team's pretty good. This team could win some games. Let's see what happens. But that's a team, they've already accumulated 20 wins. Now,
right.
The caveat, they played 3 non-D1 teams, so they've really, quote unquote, only won 17. There's of the games that count in Division One. They're 17-1, but they play in a high mid-major. Okay, so they could afford to lose 1 or 2. Okay, not win the conference tournament and still get in with, say, a 27-4 record, 28-4, something like that. They would certainly be a very strong at-large team. The other one would be Charleston. Now they play in the Colonial, which used to be a much stronger league than it is now. But they're another very, very, very good basketball team. Some people have them rated ahead of FAU, actually. So the problem there, they don't have the North Texas or the UABs to play against. So that's
I feel like with those 2 teams, if those 2 teams end up with like 2 losses at the end of the year, and for some reason they don't win their conference tournament, I just can't. I can't see those teams with 2 losses getting left out.
This comes up a lot when we get down to mid-late February, and those teams have like 1 or 2 losses. There's always the chat between bracketologists. Okay, what's the fewest lost team that was ever left out? And so we always go back, and I think it was, I want to say like Utah State or somebody was 28-4 one year. They really haven't played anybody. So if you can get it, and I think, but in the situation of say FAU playing in CUSA, if you can get in, say, with 4 losses, I think you'll get in. So they've got a little bit of room yet to grow, and heck, they could run the table, and then at that point, then they could become a seeding nightmare because, hey, they haven't played the big teams like the other schools have. So how do you seed them?
Have you? Or let me ask you: do you, without looking, can you guess what mid-major is currently in the Ken Pom top 10?
Kent State.
Who'd you say? Kent State?
Yeah.
Nope.
They're very high in the net.
I was actually already looking at it.
Ken Pom, it's St. Mary's is 7th in Ken Pom.
Oh, well, I don't call it. I'm sorry. I don't call St. Mary's a mid-major. I mean,
well, it is
on the national
subjective.
I think
No,
their
I know.
conference is mid-major, but the conference
but
is starting to really build now with BYU's leaving, but San Francisco's gotten good. Obviously,
Yeah, no.
Gonzaga getting upset.
That whole thing is
Yeah,
a little.
I would. I'm sorry. I was just not. I would never guess them because they wouldn't be in my mid-major category. But go. Yeah, I hear you.
So mid majors, I guess there are a lot of mid majors that have kind of blended or kind of crossed into that gray area of like, what do you even call them anymore? So I would probably consider them in that category. Yes. So maybe the better question is a low major. What's a low major that's that highly rated? So Kent, you're saying, see, in Kent State, like, I don't know, the MAC is a better conference than the Colonial, for instance. It's like, where do you kind of say which one's a mid major and which one's a high major and a low major? It's kind of hard anymore.
Because if you're looking at Ken Palm, Charleston is way down at 73, and where were they at? I just saw them.
Florida Atlantic's
36.
36. Yeah. You got a team like Liberty's 57. A team like Liberty's higher than Charleston is. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Kent State as well.
But we like most people anymore, kind of traditional college basketball fans like to look at Ken Palm, but that's not even remotely the same as the net, which is apparently what the selection committee uses.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I mean, the Ken Palm stats are on the team sheets that the NCAA uses. Okay.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're on there.
Gotcha.
Ken Palm, BPI, SOR, KPI, Sagarin, they're all on there. Interesting you bring that up because we got into that argument today over,
Wow, St. Mary's is 6th in the net, Tim.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Kent State is at 35. And at above College of Charleston. Are you seeing Florida Atlantic on that? Oh, there they are. 18th in the net.
College of Charleston's 43rd.
Yep.
Crazy stuff.
Sam Houston at 50. And Oral Roberts at 49. Or no.
Sam Houston has a good
at 49. Strength of schedule.
Sam Houston had a pretty strong. Yeah, they had some upsets in the non-con.
And then Oral Roberts at 50.
Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to get Mac in here.
I'd be curious what team in recent memory has had multiple quad 4 losses and gotten in as an at-large.
I've had teams that had like 3, I believe.
Because the highest I'm seeing is Utah State's with 3-2 and quad 4, and they're ranked 34th. Most teams typically tend to run through quad 4 at the top here.
Yeah, there's been teams with like 3 I know that have gotten in. 1 second here.
Wow. As of today, Marquette first in adjusted offense on KenPom. Makes sense. They're pretty fun to watch offensively, I gotta say.
They're fun to watch unless you're playing them or scouting them.
Yep.
Which our guest will be able to certainly tell us. Joining us now is your head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays, Coach Greg McDermott. Hi, Coach.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Ross is just spouting off stats about Marquette being number 1 in KenPom against what was that, Ross?
Adjusted offensive efficiency. They're now first.
They're pretty good on offense, Ross.
They are. That they are. So are you guys, though.
They're pretty good in general.
Yeah.
Yep. You probably don't need a KenPom sheet to know that. Coach said, thanks so much for joining us. First thing, there's been a bug kind of going around. How's the team's health right now?
I mean, it's been good. We had a nice little break there after the Butler game, so guys got a chance to kind of get off their feet and get healthy. And but at least today in practice, nobody was sick and everybody was participating. So that's good.
That's good. You mentioned the time off. I mean, that's, I guess, one of the positives of starting this conference season in December is you end up with a stretch like this where you get a week off, to recharge, go recruiting. And the big thing I think is probably able to do some developmental work with these guys that you're not able to do regularly, right?
Yeah, I mean, generally, obviously, with 11 teams, you get two. There's two buys, and our first one was right after Christmas, which ended up kind of being a messed up buy because we had airplane problems, so guys weren't able to get home, or they got home late, and that made it really challenging. So this one was nice. We could give the guys a couple days off. We did some skill work on Friday. We practiced Saturday, took Sunday off, and then started our preparation for St. John's today. So. I think it helps you to be fresh. It helps you to heal up a little bit, but now we've got a tough 6-week stretch ahead.
Mac, we've been kind of chatting about various teams in the league, and I mean, even look at sort of the bottom of the league, and you've got these teams with just a lot of talent. I mean, even a team like Georgetown have got some guys that can really score the basketball, and unfortunately for them, not any wins to show for it. But the broader question is, you look throughout the league. I mean, I gotta feel like as a coaching staff, you guys are thinking every night that the talent is maybe as deep as it's been in a while in this league.
Yeah, and I hope Georgetown gets a win before we go there in a couple of weeks. But they've played really good basketball for periods of games. They led UConn at UConn, I think, with 7 or 8 minutes left of the game before it got away from them. And DePaul has obviously showed their mettle with the win against Xavier the other day. And, for us to go to Hinkle and get a win, that's just been a house of horrors for us. So, there's not a bad team in the league. And Georgetown is, as you said, has struggled to win. But they keep coming out and fighting, which has been really impressive given what they've been through. But the league's always good, and I think this year is just another example of really good basketball, top to bottom.
Coach, what's been the one single thing you've been the most pleased with this team this year?
Probably our ability to kind of get through arguably one of the tougher stretches that we've had during my 13 years here. That was a tough stretch with those 6 losses, and going from all the expectations and then getting off to a good start and living up to those expectations to having the kind of bottom fall out of it. And then the team was able to, we improved during that stretch. Even though we lost, we got better, and guys made strides on both ends of the floor. And, our metrics, our KenPom numbers are really, really good. Our net's good. And that includes those 6 games. So, we kind of hung in there, and even though it was a really, really tough time. And I just think now, I think in particular on the defensive end of the floor, I think our guys really have an understanding of what we have to do to be successful on that end of the floor. And hopefully that could carry us these last 12 games, because you're not going to be perfect on the offensive end every single night, and the defense has to carry you when that happens.
Coach, obviously during that losing streak, you didn't have Kalk, and he was sick for a big stretch there. But what else about the team during that stretch do you think maybe contributed a little bit to some of those losses? I mean, obviously there was a couple of games where you didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but anything else from a coach's standpoint that you saw?
I mean, we were close. We had, sometimes you'll go through years where you won't have any situational thing on the sideline for the entire season, and we had 3 or 4 of them during that stretch. Late game where we had an opportunity to tie it or take the lead, and we just weren't able to finish it. We put ourselves in a position to give ourselves an opportunity. We came back against Arizona, came back against BYU, gave ourselves a chance. Had a really good game against a good Arizona State team. But it's sometimes you lose close ones. Last year we won a bunch of close ones. This year we haven't been as good in those close games, and I think that sometimes those things even out, and that's been the case this year. We haven't been really lucky very much, but we're playing better basketball now, and that stretch is long gone in my mind.
We're talking with head coach Greg McDermott. Yeah, I think if I could give you a bucket of like 17 points, and you could sprinkle them over 4 games, you'd only lost 2 of those. So that's how close. A lot of people didn't realize. I mean, that's how close the games were. They were all basically one possession games.
Yeah.
Going back a week ago, Hinkle, you never know what you can do when you walk into that place. It's so good to come out of there with a win. I don't know if I've asked you this before. What do you think makes Hinkle so tough to play at?
It's just it's a different environment. It's the old floor. There's a lot of hollow spots. Now they have changed the baskets from the NCAA tournament. They at least kept the baskets from the NCAA and upgraded those. Those used to be ancient kind of, hanging from the ceiling type thing. So, that's been better. And they have a very educated fan base. And even the other night, they're not having a great year. They had a good crowd there. It's hard to play when they get into the game, and they've always been physical, tough-minded defensive team, and baskets don't come easy. So you have to defend them in that building in particular, and obviously that was a really good defensive game for us.
I get asked this question a lot, and we talked a little bit about development, but people want to know about the development of three guys, Mason, Ben, and Fred. How do you think their development's been coming along?
It's been good. Ben's is he hasn't had a lot of opportunity to play. He's got some pretty good players ahead of him, but he's continued to work and has made strides throughout the season, especially on the defensive end of the floor, understanding, you have to play every possession defensively, and, what you do matters whether you're on the ball or off the ball. Mason, I was really pleased with his play at Hinkle the other night because he impacted the game without scoring. And I think he probably thinks about scoring as a way to impact the game, but he really flew in for some rebounds. He dove on the floor after a loose ball that obviously energizes your teammates. He's getting a better understanding of, what to do on both ends of the floor. And, Fred played terrific when Kalk was gone, especially when you consider, how poorly he played, against Arizona, or against who did we play first? I guess we played Arizona State first.
BYU first.
BYU first, yeah. He really struggled in that game. Didn't get any rebounds, and then to come back and do what he did against Arizona State, followed up with a pretty good game against Marquette. And I thought he took a little dip kind of when Kalk came back, and then starting last week in practice, I saw him kind of get his confidence and his mojo back, and then he played really well at Butler, and he's carried that into the practices this week. So, they're all making good progress. I've been pleased with each one of them. It's just that, that starting five is pretty good. It's hard to take them off the floor sometimes.
You take on St. John's Wednesday. Dollar Beer Night. We're going to miss Laugh. First of all, your credit card won't take a hit though, like it normally does when he's here. So that's good.
I did send him some wine. He allowed us to practice in his building on the way to Hawaii. We practiced at the University of San Diego. So I sent him a couple bottles of wine. So he gets me one way or the other every year.
8:00 tip, later tip. And, but boy, what a huge game and a huge opportunity for us to continue this winning streak.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy. St. John's is a hard team to play against. They lost a one possession game at Providence. They go to UConn and win. I thought they controlled a good portion of the game against Villanova, and then really went cold the last 6.5, 7 minutes offensively, where they just couldn't make a shot. But it's a dynamic team. Their guard plays outstanding, and Soriano's arguably the most improved player in our conference. And what he does on the backboards and his ability to score around the rim and step out and hit that mid-range shot. They've just got a lot of weapons, and we all know they play a style that's different than anybody else we play against. I thought our scout team did an incredible job today simulating it, so much so that we didn't look very good against it. So hopefully we can clean that up tomorrow before the game on Wednesday.
Yeah, Curabello's been playing really well too for him right now.
Yeah, he's really electric with the ball, and they lead surprisingly, because at times they play a pretty small lineup where they go with four guards around Soriano, and they're first in the league and one of the best in the country of not getting shots blocked. So they have a way of, when they get in the paint, they get it over top of you. And now their offensive rebounders are really active on the backside. So we've really worked on that today, and we'll go back to it again tomorrow, trying to keep them off the glass.
Coach Tim asked about a few of the young guys in their development. How about a guy who's redshirting this year? And I know he just recently got hurt, but a guy like Jason Green, what have you guys seen from him as a staff, and what he could potentially bring to the table?
Yeah, when the Providence prep, he played Bryce Hopkins, and really had the green light to make plays off the dribble, shoot threes, and he really had 2 back-to-back days of practice when he had that mindset. And that's probably the thing Jason needs to improve upon the most is, be an aggressive player, go make some plays for yourself, for your teammates. Sometimes he plays a little bit not to make a mistake. And, a player that plays like that usually is about to make a mistake. But he's developed his body, which we wanted to do during this season. He spent a lot of time with Jeremy Anderson, our strength coach. His skill set continues to get better. He's shooting the basketball better than he was when he first got here. And he's got a Big East body, and that's not many freshmen are blessed with that. And he has it. And I think this redshirt year has really done him some good.
Coach, 2 things that will let you go. One, have you ever started a game where you've had to go to the opposing coach and tell him to stop blowing kisses to your wife?
Obviously there's a long history between the Coolies and ourselves. So I do the same thing with Nerese when we go to Providence. But Ed's a good friend and obviously close with our family.
That was great. When you go up there, he just keeps on doing it. Last question. So forget about the team, okay? If I told you couldn't play at CHI, what would be the one road venue you really, not so much that you've had success, but that you really enjoy going to and playing at?
Boy, there's a lot. Xavier's always a great environment. UConn on campus was incredible. I think those 2 environments in our league are really, really difficult. Obviously, UConn on campus is a hard place to play, but Xavier, it just seems like they're right on top of you, and it's always full. And it's an up and down game when you play at Xavier, so it makes it a pretty entertaining game. But during my career, I played at Allen Fieldhouse. I've played at some good places, so it's probably in our league, I'd probably say Xavier, but I'd like to play as many at the CHI as we possibly can.
Well, we got 2 coming up here, 2 big games. We got the Dollar Beer Night Wednesday and then the Pink Out Saturday, so it should be electric there. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
You bet. Thanks for combing your hair, Ross. It's always good to see you cleaned up.
That's great.
That's what happens when you start losing it, Mac.
Yeah.
It's going, man.
Up there, so it looks like it's more.
It's about time to bring it home almost.
Yeah, try to go back to coaching if you really want it to fall off.
Thanks, Mac.
Thanks,
Take care,
Mac.
boys.
That's head coach Greg McDermott here on Bluejay Banter. By the way, you can't see me. I'm having some camera problems, so we'll try it again. I don't think it's going to last long.
I think the camera looks fine.
There it goes.
Oh, there it goes. I was the kiss of death there.
The announcer's curse.
Great conversation with Mac there. Covered a lot of topics, so that's good. Again, we want to mention those tickets. We have 2 pair of tickets for Wednesday night's game against St. John's. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button on this broadcast here, and then just go to bluejaybanter.com, sign up. If you're already a member, that's fine. You can reach out to us at Bluejay Banter on Twitter. That's the best way to say, hey, I've signed up. Where are my tickets? And we will get them to you, okay? Now, I believe we've covered everything we wanted to cover tonight. I think we're going to step into the film room here. And we're going to do this. We're going to audio this over the top of this. So, Ross, you can feel free to jump in at any time.
Okay.
Zach will pull this up here in a minute, and we'll get started. We got a rock fight going on in Evanston, 39-38. I think Evanston has 3 games.
Oh, that's right. They rescheduled that game. Yeah.
Start making up for COVID. Yeah. You actually look good tonight, Ross. I'm just letting you know that.
Huh?
Your hair looks good tonight.
It's getting tough these days. I'm telling you what. It's a hard pill to swallow once it starts going, fellas. You don't have that problem, Tim. You're in your 60s and you still got some flow. You still got that Minnesota.
I got to go get a haircut.
Flow.
I got to go get a haircut tomorrow night. Got to go get one. All right. All right. So I'm going to show you a play here in the early second half of the Butler game. We talked a lot about Kalk being out of the lineup. We think about his defense and his rim protection and his offense and so forth. One thing we don't really think much about is his passing and the ability to make everybody around him better. Here we've got a play where obviously going in the second half, you could tell their big push was to get the ball inside. So we've got Kalkbrenner getting the pass inside, Kaluma going over the top. Now you got a little two-man game going here. Kalk's taking a look, surveying. He does a nice job, and here comes Ali, kind of try and dig down at him right away. And Baylor's just starting to begin to flare out to the wing. So Kalk does a great job right there of getting the ball up so nobody can tip it away from him. And he's about ready to think, okay, I can't go to Baylor, so I'm going to have to make a move myself. He does see Trey out here to the top of the key. But now watch Ali kind of digs back down at him again. And you'll almost see the disgust on Kalk's face, like, man, I missed that opportunity. Because here he comes back because he can see that Kalkbrenner's dribbling. So Kalk stops his dribble, but now Ali does a great job of jumping back. So Kalk's a little bit afraid of, hey, I can't just whip the pass in there, so I'm going to have to lob it back to Baylor. And here's a great job by Baylor, because I think during the losing streak, it was so easy for them to get the ball and want to make something happen that Baylor would take it in the lane and try and score. Some of your best offenses, you go into the post, go out, and then go right back in again. And here we go. And now Kalk is well aware where Baylor is. He can see him spotting up and getting his feet organized, getting the puppies organized, as Raph would say. And here comes Ali down, and now Kalk knows he's got him on a string. But watch Kalk do a nice little thing here. He knows he's going to Baylor here, but he lets him come one more time to give him that extra 3 feet of room. And here goes the pass.
See, I don't know if Kalk knew he was going to Baylor. He's just gotten really good at anticipating another, doubles. I mean, but Butler really struggled with him that game because he could just abuse their bigs, with Manny Bates out, he could just abuse those guys, all alone on the block. And if they even remotely came with a double, he would just whip it out and the ball would start moving and we'd find shooters. So Butler really struggled with him.
Yeah. I think, though, that Kalk's awareness of that, you could see in his face, he was disgusted, like, oh, man, I missed that opportunity to get Baylor the ball. And I think when he got it the next time, he was like, okay, now I'm going to look for that opportunity. But he did a great job there of like deking Ali in and gave Baylor just that little bit extra room. Although Baylor standing 35 feet away from the basket, you can, you have a little bit extra room when you do that. And he knocked it down. And there were several plays like that. And then, the next time I think down the floor, Kalk took it down low and took it right to the hoop. So you got a nice little mix going there now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a nice mix of shooting and a healthy big. I'll say that. It's been nice to have Kalk back healthy. That's for sure.
Well, and didn't really mention this with Mac, but he said everybody's feeling better. But obviously, R2 was feeling much better the other night.
Yeah, you feel for a kid like Ryan a little bit because his shooting has been so streaky. So it's hard for, I've always kind of said this for a while. We were so spoiled with Marcus Zagorowski because he was such a good 3-point shooter that you couldn't even remotely go under ball screens with him or he'd make you pay. And so then if you chased him and went over ball screens, then he was a good pick and roll player, and it would allow him to kind of play, 2-on-1 with the opposing team's bigs and get the ball moving that way. So it just made things so much more difficult. And it feels like, the times that teams do go under ball screens on Ryan, he's a capable 3-point shooter, but he's just not near as comfortable as just saying I'm going to make you pay every ball screen you go under as a guy like Marcus Zagorowski was, if that makes sense. So it's just, I think he's getting there. But yeah, we need Ryan to play, really good basketball the last couple of months of the season because he's critical to our success.
All right, one more time, we're going to mention those free tickets. We've got 2 pair of tickets to Wednesday night's game. Hit subscribe button and then go to bluejaybanter.com. Sign up if you're already a member. Hit us a DM up on Twitter, and we will get you those tickets. We want to thank our sponsors, Equitable Bank, We Take Banking Personally, West Pacific Dental Group, and Infusion Brewery. Our next broadcast will be a late one. One of the few late ones we've had this year, though. 11 p.m., we will be on with Instant Reaction, Ross, Zach. Hopefully I'll have my camera fixed by then. Or maybe people enjoy not seeing my face. I can understand that as well.
No, yeah, show the flow. Show the.
I'm going to get a haircut, Ross.
Show the hockey, the Minnesota hockey flow
No,
you got.
You got to keep growing it. You and I are going to have a competition here.
I will never catch you, Zach. I'm sorry. I will never catch you. All right. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Again, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys on Wednesday night. Get there early. Be loud. Let's go, Jeff.